Returned Soldier by E.G. Moll. I put him on the train in Albury the night he went to take his boat, and he, swinging aboard, called gaily, "Don't forget, I'll dodge them all and be a farmer yet, and raise for every bullet that goes by a stalk of wheat, red gold and shoulder high. 300 acres, lad." And then the train was gone. The night was loud with frogs again. And 5 years later, one November day, I walked with Barry down the stooks of hay, light yellow in the sun, and on them fluttered rosellas red as apples. Barry muttered, half shyly, as we faced the level wheat, "One good foot left, and what was once 2 feet. One lung just fair, and one unclouded eye." But all those years I heard them whining by, and in the mud I chuckled to remember how wheat turns copper and gold in late November. He smiled, and then I knew what charm had brought him safely past the world's great snare, uncaught.
Tribute to the Millions. Let us remember those who so selflessly gave their lives at home and abroad, whose sacrifice enables us to enjoy the peace and freedom we have today. Let us remember those who came home wounded, physically and mentally, and the friends and family who cared for them. Let us remember those who returned to restore their relationship and rebuild their working lives after years of dreadful conflict and turmoil. Let us remember the families that lost husbands, sons and sweethearts. Let us remember the servicemen, merchant seamen, miners, brave civilians and others from Commonwealth and Allied countries who fought, suffered and died during years of war. Let us remember those in reserved occupations and the brave people who kept us safe on the home front, the doctors and nurses who cared for the wounded, the women and men who toiled in the fields, those who worked in the factories, who all played such a vital role in the war effort at home. Let us remember them all.
Hello everyone, Kerry Forrester here, head teacher at Tarporley Primary School. I'd just like to say a happy VE Day to everyone in our community and a massive big thank you to all of those veterans who have done so much for us and for future generations. I'd like to share with you a beautiful poem written by Helen Steiner Rice, called "There is no night without a dawning." There is no night without a dawning, no winter without a spring, and beyond the dark horizon, our hearts will once more sing. For those who leave us for a while have only gone away, out of a restless, careworn world into a brighter day. Here's to all the brighter days ahead of us. And again, thank you so much to every veteran for everything that they've done.
Hello, I'm Gordon Pearson, and I'm here to give you a flavour of the intensity of events in the last few weeks of World War II in Europe, leading up to Germany's surrender and VE Day. Following D-Day on the 6th of June 1944, Allied forces continued to liberate German-occupied areas. In February 1945, General Eisenhower set up the Supreme Headquarters of Allied Expeditionary Force, otherwise known as SHAEF, in the Technical College in Reims, northeastern France. On the 7th of March, Western forces crossed the Rhine, and by the 27th of March 1945, the entire left bank of the Rhine was under Allied control. Allied forces began to discover the scale of the Holocaust. The advance into Germany uncovered numerous Nazi concentration camps and forced labour facilities. Up to 60,000 prisoners at Bergen-Belsen were liberated on the 15th of April by the British 11th Armoured Division. 4 days later, troops from the American 42nd Infantry Division found Dachau. On the 22nd of April, the Russians, having defeated Germany on the Eastern Front, marched into Berlin. On the 25th of April, a fleet of 359 Lancaster bombers, accompanied by around 270 light bombers and fighter aircraft, bombed the Obersalzberg in southern Bavaria, Hitler's second seat of power, his home and the homes of several leading Nazis. Also on the 25th of April, Italian partisans liberated Milan and Turin in northern Italy, where US forces had arrived on the 21st of April, and by the 27th of April they captured the Italian dictator Mussolini and executed him the following day. On the 29th of April, German armies in northern Italy surrendered. With nowhere else to go, Hitler committed suicide on the 30th of April in his bunker in Berlin. He was succeeded by Admiral Dönitz on the 1st of May. On the 4th of May, the Allies captured the Obersalzberg, and British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery took the unconditional surrender of all German forces in Holland, in northwest Germany and Denmark. The number of German land, sea and air forces involved in this surrender amounted to around 1 million men. The next day, Admiral Dönitz sent a delegation led by General Jodl to Schaef in Reims to negotiate a surrender. They arrived around 5 p.m. on the 6th of May. At first, General Jodl hoped to limit the terms of the German surrender to only those forces still fighting the Western Allies, but General Eisenhower demanded complete surrender of all German forces, those fighting in the East as well as in the West. If this demand was not met, Eisenhower was prepared to seal off the Western Front, preventing Germans from fleeing to the West in order to surrender, thereby leaving them in the hands of the enveloping Soviet forces. Jodl radioed Dönitz, Hitler's successor, with the terms. Dönitz ordered him to sign. So on Monday the 7th of May 1945 at 2:41 a.m. in the war room of General Eisenhower's Supreme Headquarters in Reims, the German High Command, in the person of General Jodl, signed the unconditional surrender of all German forces, East and West, and undertook to at once issue orders to all German military, naval and air authorities, and to all forces under German control to cease active operations at 23:01 hours Central European Time on May the 8th, 1945. This momentous news was broadcast simultaneously at 3 p.m. on the 7th of May in the capital cities of the Allied nations, and spontaneous celebrations erupted all over the world. As the end of operations was officially set for 23:01 hours Central European Time on the 8th of May, this day is celebrated across Europe as VE Day. The site of the Technical College in Reims later became a school, and parts of the Schaef headquarters, including the war room, was left sealed off and undisturbed for many years. In 2005, it was turned into a museum. The war room, which is now referred to as the Surrender Room, has remained exactly as it was in 1945. You can still visit it today and find it by searching for Museum of the Surrender in Reims.
Today was meant to be an opportunity to celebrate with family, friends and neighbours. And instead, this anniversary of VE Day falls during a difficult and uncertain time for us all. I have here two original newspapers from that first VE Day, with everyone rightly praising the courage and fortitude of military personnel and civilians from the many nations who fought in that long war. but they also hold words about our future. In his broadcast, King George said, "We shall have failed. If the blood of our dearest will have flowed in vain, if the victory which they died for does not lead to a lasting peace." And Field Marshal Montgomery warned, "We have won the German war, now let us win the peace." Without great doubt, problems lie ahead, and we must face them with the same fortitude that we faced the worst days of the war. Both these men knew that maintaining the peace and safety of everyone was an ongoing struggle in which we all need to play our part with continuing courage and fortitude. And they speak, I think, into our current situation. We're all affected by COVID-19. Some are carrying terrible burdens of grief, loneliness, financial struggle, fear. Our suffering may not be as great as in others, but we will all at times need help and support. And there will be moments when we are the one who can offer that care, courage and fortitude that is needed. That's what Monty and King George spoke about on that first VE Day, and that is what we continue to try and honour. Up and down the country today, all communities have been asked to share a cry for peace. Words that will remember our past, but also commit us to work for our future together. So Tarporley, on this anniversary of VE Day, hear our cry for peace. All now raise your voices and together cry with me for all brave souls through history who've stood for what is just and free and fought to lessen cruelty. The war, it may be over, but the hard work must endure, for everyone's included in the fight for peace for all. Commitment now is needed, so we learn to trust each other and recognise in those we meet our sister and our brother. For every living creature, resources are provided, so we must work to see that all is equally divided. The woods and streams, the mountains high, the sea and golden shore were never meant to be the cause of senseless, bloody war, or race for powerful armaments and sacrifice of youth, but a world of true contentment, built on faith and trust and truth. So let us work together, so that pain and strife may cease, and cry as one united, may the whole world live in peace.
I stand here now amongst brave men, with whom I've stood before, the last time when we landed on June the 6th of 44. Back then, we were all young men, 18 or little more, their lives cut short that morning on this distant windswept shore. I stand here now and wonder, what would they have become had they survived that morning, their lives allowed full run? One thing I know for certain, of which there is no doubt, these brave young men, my pals, from then would be old, white-haired, with wrinkled brow, just like me as I stand here now.
Go.
50 years ago, to some it doesn't mean a thing. It happened long ago.
It's just a thing they talk about, those old men down the street. Today's kids cannot understand. They never felt the heat.
They never knew the torment, the heartache, pain and death. They've never seen a soldier that's fighting for his breath.
The victory in Europe was certainly hard won, for who lost a brother, a father or a son?
For men who gave the ultimate upon the foreign land, a poppy for a headstone, now growing in the sand.
This victory in Europe, about which now I write, it made me free. I'm glad I didn't have to go and fight.
I'm thankful for those men, the ones still living yet. keep talking of VE Day and won't let us forget. At the Tarporley War Memorial Hospital, the memories of all those who fought for freedom, both on the front line and on the home front, are often in our thoughts, particularly over the last few weeks, when we have had our own battles.
So we raise our cups in remembrance of our veterans and for all our key workers today, VE Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thoughts for VE Day and today. A million words would not bring you back, I know, because I tried. Neither would a million tears, I know, because I cried. Sometimes the best thing you can do is not think, not wonder, not imagine, not obsess. Just breathe and have faith that everything will work out for the best.
Hello everyone. These are some verses from a psalm of thanksgiving for God's protection. Very appropriate as we celebrate VE Day. I'm reading from Psalm 31 in the Good News translation. Our trust is in you, O Lord, for you are our God, and we are always in your care. Our times are in your hands, and you deliver us from our enemies. How wonderful are the good things you keep for those who honour you, and how securely you protect those who trust you. You hide us in the safety of your presence from the plots of others. In a safe shelter you hide us from our enemies. Praise the Lord! How wonderfully he has shown his love to us. When we were surrounded and attacked, you heard our cry. When we called to you for help, you delivered us. Love the Lord, all his faithful people. The Lord protects all those who are true to him. So be strong, be courageous, all you that trust in the Lord. Let us be glad and rejoice in your love. Amen.
When did you first know that the war was coming to an end? How did you feel when victory in Europe was announced? Can you remember?
Well, I sort of sensed it was coming because Dad was also in the Home Guard, and there were a lot of phone calls going on and little snippets of conversation that you picked up that you weren't supposed to. So when it actually happened, you know, there was great elation, great excitement, and everybody seemed to congregate in front of the Swan Hotel. Right. That's always been the focal point in the village. Yeah. And there was singing, there was dancing, there was flag waving, there was the band playing, and it was just lovely, you know. Everybody just let their hair down, and then when it started to go dusk, everybody put their lights on and pulled their curtains back so that we had the lights, you know, so the lights weren't only going on in London, but one had to join in. And I do remember I had a very dear friend, Margaret. She's not with us now, and they had a shop, the double-fronted shop as it is now in the village. One side's a hairdressers and the other side is empty again, and had a flat roof. And they lived above the shop because it was their shop, and they lived above the shop, and we were allowed to climb out of the window and stand on this roof because we were both fed up with the crushing and the pushing and the shoving, you know. And Mum and Dad allowed us to do that. And the times that comes back into my mind when I go to the village and I think, oh yeah, I stood on there. So that was really the highlight of VE Day, first VE Day for me.
Ted.
Betty.
Marion.
Tony.
Sheila.
Douglas.
Edith.
Rob.
Ken. And that's the card that was sent by Rathbone residents to Captain Tom to mark his 100th birthday, designed by yourself.
Those who gave so much, thank you.
Cheers.
All the best.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
And so everyone, let's raise a glass to our brave veterans who gave their lives for us and the armed forces who continue to serve us now. Thank you.
On behalf of the Tarporley Volunteer Helpline, as team leaders, we would like to say a very big thank you to our veterans. For those who gave so much, we thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
For those that gave so much,
We thank you.
thank you.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
To those who gave so much, we thank you, and the Queen, God bless her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
May I ask you to join in the nation's toast? Please repeat. A toast for those that gave so much. We thank you.
A toast to those who gave so much, we thank you.
To those who gave so much,
We thank you.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
To those who gave so much, we thank you.
A toast of thanks to all our veterans on this VE Day. Cheers!
to those who gave so much, we thank you.
Those who gave so much, thank you.
Cheers.
All the best.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For those who gave so much,
we thank you.
thank you.
Cheers.
Let's have a kiss.